James is introduced in Volume 3. How is he introduced exactly? Well, he intercepts a abduction between June, Adelaide, and some bandits, and it ends with James throwing Adelaide off of a cliff. And to be honest, he does try not to do this. However, because Adelaide is just scared out of her mind, she's just like, ah! And yeah, she falls into the water. She breaks her ankle on a rock in the water. And, well, one thing leads to another. She's on a beach, James gives her CPR, and they're laughing about it by the end. When James meets the other main cast of characters, he gives them vital information about the Familiars and the Dragon Isles, and he sort of functions as a guide for them and lets them know how everything works around there. When he first meets Sephadia, he restores her familiar treasure from being a wolf to being a fairy again, so now everybody can understand what she was saying this entire time. During this process of restoring familiars, James also gets Ayla turned back into a angel. She's no longer a unicorn, to be specific. Prior to the Familiar War series, James and Cyrene Dunkelmond, the Queen of the Dragon Isles, they were buddies. So when the main cast of characters comes to the Dragon Isles, she's totally cool with helping them out with whatever they need. They have the Familiar Ball in her castle. She offers them aid, and she offers them a place to stay. All free, simply because her and James are pals. And she lets him hang out at her castle and just do goofy shenanigans on his birthday there every year. In the finale of Volume 3, James, Adelaide, and James's sister are all abducted by the main antagonists and the cultists. It is a huge ordeal, and James has to choose between letting his sister live or letting Adelaide live. It's super dramatic. And anyway, you can probably guess which one he picks. He picks Adelaide, obviously. So James and Adelaide go and break on out of there. They escape, they break down some rocks, and they escape through a hole in a mountain. They come outside to a beach. It's raining outside, and they're all super sad. Absolutely shooketh by the scenario. So they kind of start yelling, and they kind of start shouting, and Adelaide is like, James,
please come to the castle.
Why did you pick me? Then they kiss in the rain, and it's super romantic. But this is also still a lot, and James does still, go through, a mental breakdown.
Princess Mario, please come to the castle.
So, what does James do in Volume 4? To start off, Adelaide gets turned into a demon. James has to kill Adelaide. But then he brings her back to life. But he has to sacrifice 30% of his soul to do it. What else does he do? In order to get vital information from the antagonist, James lets himself get caught to find out what the antagonists are planning to do with the Familiars. What does he find out? James finds out that the antagonists are planning to go to Gavita because Adelaide's map showed that is the location of two other familiar holders, Sam Villain Moonwolf and Anya Ailey. James also finds out that Callahan is going to meet up in that location with the leader of the cultists, and that is someone who James and Adelaide have been wanting to take down for a long time, so they want all the information they can get from this. In exchange for doing her a favor, where Darius hurt Bronwyn and James healed her, Bronwyn lets some info slip from her spellbook and gave this info to James, where he learns that the familiar spellbook was written by the previous Gemini familiar holders. To keep it short, this is how James finds out that the Gemini familiar holders can open portals, and it's possible this is what the antagonists are planning to do. Alright, time for the Pocket Magic Special. All people have a pocket. is invisible and not much bigger than the person. Pockets are only triggered by magical commands. Pockets do not generate magical material based off of elements. Pockets can only store magic if the person has a type of magic which can be stored. Not all magic can be stored. Weapons which can be summoned can be stored in your pocket. Pockets can only be opened using spells and magical triggers. No magical input equals nothing happening to the pocket. Living things and organic matter cannot go in the pocket. That's just it. They cannot go in there. What does James do in Volume 5? James helps Anya Ayla, and because of this, she decides to help the main cast of characters. But she will not travel with them. She tells them there is a temple built in the mountains of Guillemot. It is there where the familiar holders must meet up, combine the souls of Zuka. Anya says she will meet the main cast there and try to protect the temple, but she warns the characters she won't be able to do much if the antagonists get there before the good guys. What else does James do? He falls in a hole. That's right. He falls in a really big hole. It's a cave hole, and they have to get him out. James and Adelaide also decide to go on their mission to stop/find Jasper, the leader of the cultists, and find out what the deal is. Turns out he's experimenting on people in order to make combinations of certain Beastians. During this mission, Adelaide sets Jasper on fire and manages to escape through a ventilation shaft. But James also escapes, but not very easily. James and Adelaide are running through the woods to escape the wolf Beastians, which are after them. They have guns, they have swords, but they have laid something in the forest even deadlier. Bear traps. Adelaide and James think they have escaped. They jump off of a cliff. They land in the snow. They're like, we've made it past the fence. We're no longer in their territory. But then they hear a loud metal clang. James has his foot stuck in a bear trap. And it's bad because James's healing powers aren't healing very fast. Because remember, he gave 30% of his soul to heal Adelaide, so his powers aren't as fast as they were before. There is blood. There is screaming. There is crying. There is a cave. They go into the cave, and Adelaide is like, I am going to use my flower powers, and I am going, wait, the flower, what? Basically, she sets his foot on fire, she cauterizes the wound, and because it's demonic magic, it will forever leave a scar on James's leg. It will never heal. He is angelic magic, she is demonic magic. Some stuff just gets complicated. That's not the only thing that happens in that cave, but that's what the mature content rating is for. Anyway, also happening in Volume 5, in the finale, James and Adelaide versus Darius, the guy who can mind control animals. They get some injuries. They escape instead. Then after that, they have the battle of everyone. There's chaos, there's magic, the familiars are not all united together to create Zuka. Instead, James falls in a hole again. I know, but so does Adelaide, June, and Zephadia falls in a hole. The hole is, what you ask, another world called the Yemekray.